What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets Haber, bringing you the PGA match play. Sheets, you're gonna have to help me with this one because there's a few things that I'm I'm not that into this, but I know everybody who I know who likes golf is really into this. So we just have to make sure that I guess there's a lot of advanced, strategy things that I'm not as familiar with.
Okay, so it's not an advanced strategy. It's basically the opposite. So basically, if you don't do what I'm about to go over, and I'll turn you on to Rick's site too, because he does a much better job, much more in depth than I do of this. That's what makes me me. I could just say, go to Rick's site and just could save myself a half hour from explaining it. You could at the very least avoid being like the total dead money, which apparently, from what I heard, because I've never played this stuff before. Last year, maybe 30% of lineups were literally dead, but from the moment the tournament started in
That's
GPPs.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's an exaggeration or whatever it is, but that's what it is. So guys, forget the salaries for a minute, okay, and forget everything about winning and all this stuff. So think about it from those of you that have did your ever NCAA bracket pools, right? And you can only pick certain teams, and you only have a certain amount of teams. Maybe you played a pool like that before. First of all, let me just again reiterate: go to rickrungood.com. He does like an amazing job of explaining all this. Like if you have access to an optimizer, like you're gonna want to set probably about 7 different rules, which I'm gonna get into a little bit. But again, Rick does a better job of it. It's so funny. Like I looked at a little more content today. I went to another video, and the guy was about to start explaining. He says, "Listen, to be honest, just go to Rick Rungood's site and he'll explain." So Rick does a really good job of this. But so basically, you only get 6 golfers, right? And in match play, you either advance or you don't. Now, again, in the early rounds, you have to beat it's like a round robin, like these groups of 4. You have to get out of this pod. And then you get to a pot of then you go against another one person, whatever it is, right? So only one person can advance from this pod, and then only one person can advance from here to here. So what you have to do with your 6 golfers is, number one, you have to make sure you take a maximum of 1 golfer from each of these 4 regions, right? So 1 from here, 1 from there, 1 from there, and 1 from there, because you have to give yourself a path to get to the final 4, to have 4 guys in the final 4. Otherwise, you have no chance. So that's the first thing you have to do. So 4 of your golfers have to come from different regions. Now, the other thing is that you can't also pick 2 guys in adjacent brackets, okay? Because at the very least, if you get 2 guys going to the 4 guys going to the final 4, the other 2 have to get to the final 8, right? So you can't have guys even in this second round going against one another, right? So you can't be in this group together, and you can't be in this group together. So you have to do not only max 1 from each of these individual groups, but you could also only go max 1 from this group of 2, this group of 2, this group of 2. So you make a group of these 8, for example, and you can only go max 2 of these 8, right? So that's what you have to make sure that you do, is make sure that you don't have any guys getting after each other until at the very, very earliest, the final 8, right? So that's the ultimate thing you have to do. Is you want to build lineups, that's totally cool. And you could either have the optimizer build them, but you got to be really good about your rules. Because I'm telling you, like if you just said, and people are going to do this, you're going to say, well, I'm not sure whether I want you to tell Fitzpatrick Roll, they're both pretty good. They're probably good values on DraftKings, right? So I'll just play both those. They're both really cheap. It doesn't matter. You just can't win when one of your guys is going to lose. So that's like the most important thing about this is making sure that you have a lineup that actually has a chance to win, right? And then what you have to do, obviously, is then figure out who good salaries are and who you think is going to advance. So what I think we should do, right,
well, do you mind scrolling down a little bit so I can see the bottom of this thing just for a second? Just trying to take a look and see who everybody.
Yeah.
All that makes sense. It actually seems pretty simple. So basically, it'd be trickier if you're multi-entering, but if you set the right rules, it's not going to be a problem.
Right. Yeah. And you could do it multi-entry. I'm telling you, Rick even has an optimizer that'll do it for you over there. Okay, so you get a whole pool of plausible lineups, right? And then you can kind of pick from there. So I encourage you guys. The whole video is 10, 15 minutes. So I would encourage you to go through that. He does a much better job explaining than I just did. But what you can do, like what we can do now, is look at these little pods here and see who we think is going to advance out of these pods. And then when we think about it, is who we think is going to be high owned, because they're probably going to have no ownership projections on here. Or if they are, they're going to be totally just made up, you know?
Right.
So you have to kind of figure out who people are going to play. Like, for example, like, and again, it depends on ownership goes. Like you see like this pod right here. So you have 4 guys that all look really like to have a shot, right? With Fitzpatrick, Wolf, Connors, and Spieth. So like, for you to pick a guy to come out of this group, it's gonna be tough. I mean, there's gonna be no big favorite to come out of that pod. So on the one hand, that's gonna be pretty tough to pick. And on the other hand, it's gonna be probably extremely low owned because of what I just said. And then like on the other hand, you take a look and if you get out of that pod, then you're gonna be forced to play against Justin Thomas anyway. So it's tough. And then like you even compare guys that are like in different good spots. Like you see like Justin Thomas up here. Like even though he's a 2 seed, he's got like Louis Oosthuizen in his group, which you can make a case has like a decent shot. Yet on the other hand, if you go down here to like John Rahm, you can make a case for he has just a much easier path. So that's what you kind of have to do is we got to go through. We'll do that. We'll go through like all these pods and just kind of instinctively like think of who looks like a lock, right? And then who looks like might be under-owned, who whatever. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. And again, without even thinking about salaries, we'll be probably able to play whatever we want to play. So why don't we do that? Why don't we just go down like pod by pod, we'll go through and then just kind of get a look ahead at the brackets and see like instinctively like who just looks to be like a good spot. Like for example, I'll look at this first one, I'll say, boy, Dustin Johnson, I mean, he got it easy, right? He's like there's no one in there that's beating him. And the way it works, by the way, is the first round is a round robin. So you play everybody in your group, and if you beat somebody, you get a point. If you lose to the person, you lose a point. And if you half the person, you get a half. And if after all the round robin, there's like a tie, they play a sudden death hole, right? So you have a decent enough chance to get past. Not like if one guy, like if say Dustin Johnson beats Kevin Na in the first, loses to Kevin Na in the first round, it doesn't even mean Dustin Johnson is dead for the pool, like if he beats the other guys and Na loses or whatever. So I think what we probably should do is just go through pod by pod and just see like what our initial instincts are. And maybe I'll go first, then you go next. And
sounds good to me.
So I think that my initial instinct again is that Dustin Johnson would be a lock from this group. I wouldn't probably take it. And if I had to take a shot at anybody else, maybe Kevin Na, but I would pick Dustin Johnson as probably a most favored nation status. Would you agree with that?
Probably would be the highest owned player. Highest owned spend up, I'm guessing, right?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe John. Well, we'll get to John Rahm later.
Okay. Yeah, John Rahm's a good point. Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Dustin Johnson, and then I think I much prefer him to the other guys, but I don't mind Henley. Hold on, let me just make sure.
Because Henley. It's funny because the way you have to look at these things, like you look over all the way on the right, like Justin Thomas, right, all the way on the right. Like even if you think that he's like got a decent shot to beat that field, which is not the easiest, but he can definitely do it. He's gonna have like a tough matchup waiting for him in the second round. So
right.
That's what you have to kind of look at, just like we're doing any bracket. What do you think about Dustin Johnson? Like even if he gets through there, I guess we're looking at the second pod now. Like what do you think of this one with Perez, Leishman, and Henley?
So I would go Im or Henley,
right.
And I don't think I would bet on either of those guys beating Dustin Johnson. Maybe if Im has a good day, but yeah, I mean I would play Im or Henley here, but I do prefer Im.
So now that you think about this, you kind of project forward a little bit. So, if you between Dustin Johnson, who has to play either Im or Henley, right, as opposed to Justin Thomas, who's going to have to play, even if he gets through his round, has to play either Fitzpatrick, Wolf, Connors, or Spieth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd like to think that Johnson has got the easier path to the final, at least the final 16, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I agree with you, by the way. I think that Im and Henley are the two favorites. And one thing you think about in match play, by the way, which is actually a pretty good take, is I think it's in match play, it's a good idea, if all else being equal, to have the guy that hits it far, because what happens in match play again is if you're hitting it far, then you'll always have position as far as knowing what to do, because if you have to wait for if the guy behind hits first, like if he hits a bad approach shot, you know that you could you could chalk it up and kind of like win the match, right? Or win the hole. You know, so I think that's a big advantage to have. So I think all else being equal, maybe that's my.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
So what do you think about this next one? Like Simpson, Casey, Hughes, and Gooch.
So I would lean Casey. That's my personal take. I'm not in love with any of Casey or Sims makes the most sense, but I think I would pick Casey over the other ones.
Yeah, and it's so funny. It's just like the bracket pool, like the 8-9 matchup. So if they have Simpson as a 9, right? So then you get Hatton, who's waiting in the thing below him, is an 8, and that makes sense, right? I mean, like if chalk advances, Hatton and Simpson's probably a pretty good matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I like Casey and Simpson. I actually think that those two are pretty solid. I think that I don't know how live Hughes and Gooch are. And again, you probably are going to have to find like a good underdog somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think I like Casey and Simpson too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some other ones coming up that make some sense.
Like this one, I think Hatton's live to lose. I think maybe we want to punt. Maybe Matt Wallace could be a punt in here. I think Westwood's live to lose. I think Garcia's live to lose. I think that Hatton's live to lose. I think all these guys are live to. Maybe Wallace is a punt. I don't know. But if you don't think that, maybe you think that these other guys are live to beat Simpson in round 2.
I think I would side. Yeah, I guess Wallace makes some sense. I think I would have personally said Sergio, but I don't have a very strong take on that one. That feels like everybody is. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a huge thing, but I kind of like the idea of the Wallace really. I mean, I'm just guessing he's going to be really low owned.
I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting.
So what I'm doing, we got to write these down because I am going to pull up a DraftKings lineup, and
I'm writing them down.
And we're going to look at salaries and see if we can make any of these work.
Okay.
So I imagine that the Shambo is going to be just super chalky, pretty much throughout this whole event. I don't know what his price is, but we'll take a look at it. And he's a tough one to beat. But maybe this is maybe this is the time for your Fleetwood. He's going to be like really, really low on, that's for sure. But then again, even if you get through that round, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I don't think Siwoo Kim. If anybody, I would take Fleetwood. And I don't even know who Rosner is. So for me, it would be DeChambeau's obviously probably the most likely winner, but maybe a share or two of Fleetwood. I don't know. You know Fleetwood a little better than I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Fleetwood. I mean, obviously he's not the driver and everything to have Bryce right away, gonna keep his ownership low. So I actually kind of like him as a wild card one. But I actually thought about what about Zalatoris from the bottom of this?
I like it.
No ownership, man. And hey, all I know is this guy just does better than every time that he's supposed to do. And he's become incredibly consistent. Finau would make a lot of sense just based on the driving part you mentioned, but I like the idea of taking the Zalatoris, maybe getting him coming out of this thing. Maybe Bryce has a blow up hole. Maybe if you wouldn't play them together, obviously, but Zalatoris. That's
right. Well, that's the important thing.
Right, but Zalatoris and Fleetwood would be two guys I would consider for upsets there. But I do like Bryce. I mean, Bryce makes a lot of sense, obviously.
Okay, what do you think about this next group? I think all. I don't know much for a Wiesberger guy, but I think all three of these other guys are in play, and I think that the odds are probably going to reflect their chance to win. I think Hovland's definitely the favorite, right? And I think Answer's probably the second choice, and then Streelman will be probably just below Answer, and then Wiesberger less likely.
Right.
So yeah, no, I Dude, wow, look at that. Look at that bottom. Look at that bottom bracket. Look at that. That's
Yeah,
a good
it's
one.
a wild one, that bottom one. It's loaded, but I honestly don't feel like anyone has, other than, I mean, Morikawa if he's on. I don't feel like the separation day to day should be that different. Like if any of these guys are on, I feel like that could go their way. I like the answer a little bit. And I think that I do think that answer could easily could beat this other group. But I kind of am tempted to take Homa. Homa and Horschel both I'm interested in. This is a tough one for me, Sheets. These are guys I like a lot. Help me out.
Now, another thing, by the way, you're gonna have to think about, one more rule we got to think about towards the end is you also can't take more than of those remaining golfers and not in top four. You can't take three from the same side either.
Right.
I don't know. I like
Is
I said,
that accurate? Because the odds
Yeah.
of actually getting the four and then the champion right, are you not allowed to take them, or you shouldn't? Because maybe you should. What? But maybe that's flawed, because you're really telling me that many people, like, what about a big buy-in tournament? You're really telling me that many people are going to get all the final four right?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
You want to make a little side?
I don't know.
I'll bet you nobody. I will bet you.
I will bet you. I'll have some fun. I have no idea. I guarantee you that I say guarantee you. I will say that in the big buy-in.
In the big buy-in, I'll bet you anything nobody does it.
I'll do even better.
This is like 75 times more variance than a March Madness.
Think so?
You don't think golf on a given day?
We're in for 50.
50 cents. There we go. I already owe you $1. All right. Should we jump over to the other side?
No, because I want to look at that bottom left one a little farther.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Who do you like then there?
I think that all these guys are sort of live, but the problem is that they're all have like a Hovland to deal with, and they're all also going to have probably a Bryson to deal with later.
Mm-hmm.
And as a 4 seed, like for example, or someone's going to beat a 4 seed, I mean, Bryson's a tough 5 seed,
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that could be the avoid pod. I'm not sure.
Or you could take, I mean, like, I think all of those guys have an excellent chance at advancing, and whoever wins the other pod.
I think so.
So I think that maybe you could look at it that way too.
I'll tell you that all these guys, especially Horschel and Homa, they're both competitive mother effers. I mean, that's the one thing you really gotta, for this type of tournament. I think everybody gets paid pretty much the same. So you really have to care about winning for stuff like this. All right, so I think all these guys are live actually.
Yep.
I don't think posting as much of a shot, but
yeah.
All right, so let's go to the other side.
Jump over there.
So I think Louis Oosthuizen is going to be the popular. I would say popular. I've just heard a couple of people say that he's going to be he's like live here. I don't see playing anybody from that. Like Thomas would be my fade, because like that whole pod would be my fade, just because they rate to be a very small favorite in the next round. I would think, regardless of who they play.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Thomas would be the fade, and I would rather take someone from this, from the 710 range instead of from the 215 range.
So if we're going to fade him, shouldn't we maybe consider playing a guy who is really hot right now, and Jordan Spieth, who's going to get incredibly low ownership? I'm just throwing it out there. And look, the other
I think anybody from that pool might
be really good.
Might be a good play for the reason I said, because because the math doesn't really dictate like playing this, because there's such even chance to win. Mm-hmm. And with Thomas and whatever weighting, the chance of going through all that is tough. Mm-hmm. But I think that's going to make them low owned. And I think we're going to. I think, given everything I said about how you want to play, I think we go back to your guy. I think we go back to Matt Wolff.
Interesting. I think he'll be really low owned too.
I think he hits it longer than these guys.
It's interesting.
And I think
he hasn't played in a while, and he had the injury a little bit to his hand. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like that.
Yeah, and he didn't give an F either. So, so maybe he could be a good low on one.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
Look at this. Look at this.
This is my favorite one, and I've got a pretty. I'm gonna.
What do you got for me?
I just think I like Ortiz, and I think I'll actually play him.
That's awesome.
I mean, Matsuyama has been all over the map lately. Can't lay consistent, but whatever. But Ortiz,
we don't want consistent, right?
Ortiz's birdie ability is and I mean just shot making ability. And by the way, Harman actually is not bad either. But I like the idea that Ortiz could actually come out of this whole group. And I really
I think that other group, that Reed group, is extremely vulnerable.
Right, I agree totally. So I think Ortiz is my favorite here, and I actually think that I'm going to end up putting some Ortiz in my.
See, that would be beautiful. That's the quick and painless special. You play Ortiz, you lose first round, then you don't have to watch anymore.
Yeah, fair
but if he gets through, you're in business, because I'm telling you that I think that Reed, Neiman, Biesenhoed, Watson, I think they're all vulnerable to the winner of that other flag.
But also Ortiz has had a number of down the stretch runs where he's had to go back and forth for the lead, and he won one, he lost one. But I think that even just that experience and just, you're getting the value of where he is, and I'm guessing his cost, is probably worth it. I actually really like him in this one. So he's my guy right now.
If you had to pick one from this pod, would you pick Neiman?
I think I would pick Neiman or Bezuidenhout.
Okay. All right. The next thing, I don't know who Andy Sullivan is, if that's even his first name. So I guess
I think it is his first name, so you do know who he is.
Hey, I guessed. But Jason Day is not my thing. So for me, it would be either Xander or probably a pretty kind of long shotty Scheffler, I think.
Why is Scheffler so long shotty? Because he seems like he might be the kind of guy, like he's a little wild, but when he's on, he's as good as they get. I mean, how many times have we seen him? He had 2 tournaments last year where he had the worst score in round 1 and the best score in round 2. And I don't know. Am I off on him?
Maybe you're right. No. I'm not saying maybe you're off. Maybe you're right. I'm saying
he was the one who jumped out to me of this group. I mean, Schauffele makes a lot of sense, and I actually think that people will play him because of how poorly Rory's done, and the other guys being youngsters, and no one's going to play Ian Poulter. So I think that Schauffele will actually probably be a popular pick. Wouldn't you imagine?
Yeah, maybe.
It looks like he would be, and I just think Scheffler's kind of an interesting counter to that. End it right away.
So as much as whatchamacallit, as much as Zach Levine is disrespectful at 8,600, Rory McIlroy is an 11 seed is rough business, man.
He is much better than everyone else down there.
One guy, by the way, that I will say is probably going to be, I think, overowned. I'm pretty sure that Ian Poulter won the Ryder Cup for the Europeans or something like that in match play. So maybe he'll get some ownership where maybe he doesn't deserve it. I don't know about these. I think McIlroy goes. I think he wins.
All right. I like that, actually. Then I can.
And he's going to be probably pretty chalky from that group. But I think McIlroy over the Schauffele, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Scheffler. I would either go Scheffler or McIlroy.
That's what I've got right now for that group.
So look at this freaking troll. You have.
Well, they got all of our guys.
You have withdraw in the same group.
Oh my God.
We should go Brandon Todd just on principle.
I feel like we should go Harris English on principle.
We should go Harris English on principle. I don't see this is. So there's only two things I think could happen. I think Rahm is gonna either win, or it's just gonna be Sebastian Munoz season. That's the end of it.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
And I don't know. I'm gonna be very racist here. I'm not sure if it's the case, but I'm just guessing that Rahm is Spanish and Sebastian Munoz speaks Spanish. They're gonna be butting it up on the course. Maybe a little bit.
Reaching out for this one.
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
Rahm went to ASU. Come on.
I don't know.
He went to Arizona State.
The Munoz maybe went to. Who knows where he went? Maybe
I know it's true. Fair enough.
He went to Seton Hall, maybe, for all I know.
Fair enough. Yeah.
No. So I like. I actually do like Munoz as a punt. But remember, because he's all over the place, and then you don't get penalized for double bogeys in these things.
I totally agree. But in that same vein, isn't EVR like a great play as well?
Yeah,
and
maybe.
he actually doesn't have to play in the same bracket as Rahm, so maybe someone else can do the Rahm dirty work, because EVR is the same type of thing. He can drive it. He's all over the map. Literally, no one's going to play him, and I feel like a pretty hittable bracket right now.
I like that. You play, dude. If you play EVR, because remember that means you're not playing Rahm. You play EVR, you somehow get that through.
Yep.
I mean, you're a freaking hero.
That would be.
Is that even possible for him to win and then?
Why not? Why couldn't he beat these guys? I mean, first of all, I don't see him as like against these guys in one round. Why not?
Yeah, it's not. Remember, it's not one round. They round robin. They play them all.
Yeah, sorry.
In their pod.
So how long is this tournament going to freaking take? I really.
So it's Wednesday through Sunday.
No, but so they play 2 rounds a day?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. They'll be through to the final 16 on Friday.
I gotta say, I hate this type of. I mean,
I hate it. I totally hate it.
I would much rather just.
But if I'm live, it's like anything else. If I'm live, I'll be into it.
Yeah, of course, exactly. And then next thing I'll be talking about how much I love match play. I'm a match play expert.
Well, it's my theory on poker, by the way. Like whenever somebody wins a tournament, like a live tournament, they'll interview them. They'll say, "Oh, this was a perfect structure for me."
Yeah.
Well, this structure was perfect, and if it was like a fast structure, because I can move chips around, but if it was a slow structure, I can use my skill advantage. Everybody's favorite structure is the one that they happen to have run hot and won. That's my theory. That's my theory.
100% agree with you.
Right,
it's interesting because they really didn't change the prices according to anything. It doesn't seem like, except for recent play.
So what I got to do, and we can't build a whole lineup, right? So I have to keep the bracket off to the right.
Okay.
And then, who did we like from that first quadrant on the top left?
The top left, I had, well, it was the DJ.
I mean the full quadrant. I want to go 4. I want one in the final 4 from each quadrant first.
Well, DJ was the one, right?
So you think DJ is going to go all the way to the final 4?
Wait, I can't see the thing you're talking about. So let me.
Oh, so you can't even see it? Oh, okay.
No, I got it. I would have to.
Oh, all right.
Here, wait. Let's just see. Hold on. It was DJ. Oh, you mean from this whole thing? Yeah.
Yeah, you need someone from this to get to the final 4.
Someone. Yeah, I think. I mean, it certainly seems like the easiest path. Now I know it's not an exciting pick, but I don't see even like anybody else who I feel like I really want to try it with. Do you?
You could play DeChambeau.
Oh, I didn't even. No, he's in the next quadrant down.
No. I mean the full. Oh, right. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, so they could both make the final 4.
Right. So no, because I don't really like this crew so much. I don't like this crew so much. So let's put in Johnson. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the next quadrant down. So we thought DeChambeau was a little vulnerable, right?
I mean, in general, he can be, but I don't. It's not like I mean, honestly, I'd be looking at guys like Homa, or I wouldn't be looking at Hovland and Morikawa, to be honest. If I was trying.
Well, we will be able to fit a second one. You know what I mean, from this quadrant. So let's start with the final. If you want to see, let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens when you put DeChambeau in.
Okay,
right?
Let's do it.
I mean, there's no penalty for doing this.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's go over to the quadrant on the top right. And we thought this was kind of a mess, right?
Yeah.
And we thought this was kind of a mess. So if we don't like any of this, you could try Ortiz as a punt.
I kind of like that.
Or one of these.
I mean, actually, I think, look, I actually think Ortiz makes a lot of sense here.
Well, let's see what that does for us, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, for example, if we put Ortiz, and I'll only put 2 in, right? He's 6,800. I think. Let's see what happens. So let's see if we can put another final 4 guy, and let's see what that does to our lineups. So we thought Rahm was beatable, right?
Yep.
The Berger Inglis, the Van Rooyen, or let's try Rory's probably gonna be pretty expensive. Or Scheffler.
Check out Rory's price before we say that, because they might have lowered it. Nope.
So let's say we put in Scheffler.
He's gonna be expensive too. Not that expensive.
So if you did that, Okay, this is like paying a lot for DeChambeau, Johnson. Okay, then what you got to find, I don't know what these prices are. So you got to find 2 punts under 6,800. So we taught to be other guys. So you know what? I think I might have lost 50 cents.
What's that? Do you need to get all 4?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just telling you, there's no, I don't see it happening.
I'm looking at what we need to do to get here.
Like maybe in the 500 and the 400,000 person tournament, sure, it's possible, but
So we put Ortiz in, right? Wait, where was Van Rooyen?
Down at the bottom.
Well, that's fine because we're not putting this one in. So we can go Scheffler and Van Rooyen, for example. We can't put that in the lineup though. Yeah, this is going to be tough, huh?
Yeah.
This is going to be tough.
So the cheapest one we have, let me see on my board real quick.
Well, Van Rooyen.
Is he minimum? No, he's not minimum, but he's close, right?
Maybe you can't get away with. I mean, you can totally get away with Johnson and DeChambeau, but you got to be really confident they make the Final Four. Because if you do that, then you're really in. I don't want to say dumpster dive row.
I'm not even getting this tournament to show. Oh, there, the match play. That's why. Took me to the other thing. Jeez. All right. Yeah. This is tricky.
Like I said, I'm playing, but I encourage you guys to not listen to me on this one. I mean, I'm leading you to what I'm going to do, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm probably going to play. The only lines I'm going to play are ones that I can make by hand. I'm not optimized to go near this thing for me, honestly. I'll probably make 10 lineups, just trying to get in the guys that we mentioned. So let me just review and just see who else we're like cheap that we just kind of talked about it all. So we talked about Munoz.
Mentioned Poulter before too as being a popular guy.
Right. So Munoz, we mentioned him at 6,100. Streelman, mentioned him as kind of like a second or third option in the pod at 6,300. Van Rooyen, we mentioned. Matt Wolff, 6,900. Okay, that could be something I do.
Matt Wolff.
So that was in.
Okay, that's in that what other weird one?
That was in which weird one was that?
Upper
that was
right. Upper right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one though, but that's whatever.
It's a tough thing, but it's the same time it doesn't get any tougher.
Again, if you get Matt, well, if you pick him in the Final Four, for example.
Oh, you're crushing. Anybody.
Well, because I mean, you got to get through this, and this whole group here is pretty vulnerable. The Cantlays down and Reed.
Yeah.
So if you could somehow make it to here, right? I mean, this ain't easy to beat all 3 of these guys and then probably Justin Thomas. But if you can do it, you might actually almost be a favorite in the round of 8, you know?
Yeah. This is wild.
Yeah.
Oh man, so much extra stuff. I have enough trouble with the golf as it is. Now I got to try and figure this part out. This is.
I gotta see who's playing in League of Legends. That's going to be much easier than this.
All right. Well, I think this is helpful. At least you guys get the basic strategy. I don't know that it's necessarily right that we have to go for.
I don't know. Well,
but
you know what? Look at Rick's video. He's much better with that bracket stuff than I was.
Yeah.
Maybe Zalatoris at 7,900.
Zalatoris, Fleetwood. Yep.
And yeah, listen. If anybody wins this from our group, you have no right to be humble. You gotta totally rub it in.
Yep. And let's go. I think I'm gonna go with the Homa thing. I'm not gonna play huge this week.
Homa right. or Wolf? Homa?
I think. Well, I actually like Wolf, but I just feel like I haven't seen him play in a while, and I don't know where he's at. But I also could see him with if the hand thing acts up again, withdrawing is possible. But the price is crazy.
Yeah.
I like this initial build that you got to though. I think it's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out how many. So I've definitely lost my 50 cents, but we'll see.
Do you have a pick to win it all? I mean, should we pick one? Just one guy to win it all, nothing else?
Sure. I probably should bet something on this, right?
I'm just gonna say F it then and take the guy who probably doesn't get out of the first round. And I mean, honestly, if I was gonna really, you know what, I probably would pick Rahm, but I'll take Homa or Rom as Homa.
I should check the odds. I'm sure they're all really bad, but
yeah.
If I come up with something, I'll post it in Discord.
Sounds good.
All
All right, guys. We'll see you later this afternoon. For Sheets, I'm Bobby saying good luck out there. And remember, listen to Sheets above me when it comes to golf.
Yeah, okay. Talk to